Welcome, dear friends, to Cardiac Radio in another program. Now it's Voices of the Great Beyond, and today we're going to talk about Chapter 5. I'm going to share some slides with you, but feel free to ask your questions, to send your comments, either here in our platforms or at cardiacradio@gmail.com. Feel free to send it to us, and today we're going to study another chapter. Let me relate to you a little bit about how we get to where we are. So here we are, Voices of the Great Beyond. The book is not yet translated. It's not. Actually, it's translated but not published. You and I have an opportunity to study the message right here and now. But let's recall how it works, right? This is how it works. It starts with Chico Xavier. The medium. This was the year 1957. Chico Xavier and the beloved team coordinated by the spirit mentor Emmanuel are, at the moment, that's where they were, 1957, in this Spiritist Center, Centro Espírita Meimei, Spiritist Center, Meimei, in the tiny town Piro Leopoldo, in the state of Minas Gerais, Brazil. This is how it is. It's a narrow door, followed by a long hallway, and inside a room that was expanded because at Chico Xavier's time, this was even simpler. There was only a table, but the table you see here with these many chairs around it, that's the very table where Chico Xavier did all these meetings. He used to sit on those chairs at that table where he psychographed many messages, but also received messages through his speaking mediumship. So at the time, during these meetings, they would receive messages. The spirits would communicate through the voice of Chico Xavier. They had a tape recorder that was given by Carlos Torres Pastorino, the author of the book, Minutes of Wisdom. Pastorino, the man, he had this message here, and Pastorino relay to us this beautiful message, the tape recorder, and said to Chico Xavier, please record these messages. They recorded it. The spirit director, Arnaldo Rocha, transcribed it. And vouched by the good spirits, the Brazilian Spiritist Federation published into books. Psychophonic Instructions, number 1, which was already discussed here at Cardiac Radio years ago. And now, Voices of the Great Beyond. Today, we're studying Chapter 5. Chapter 5. I know, it's a title that probably you're like, oh no, first moments of a dead person? Oh, Vanessa, I don't want to talk about it. Stay here with me, please. With us, the good spirits have things to share with us. Chapter 5 of the book Great Voices of the Great Beyond talks about these first moments when somebody died. Who is the communicating spirit? A politician in Brazil, an administrator of indisputable merits. The beginning of the message says that soon after he discarnated, he was brought into this meeting, but he was convalescing, confused. He couldn't speak. Now he comes, and lucid as he is, he wants to share with you and I how did it all happen. Much like the report seen in the book Heaven and Hell by Kardec, in part 2, which, by the way, you can listen to every cases of the afterlife, at Cardiac Radio, YouTube playlist, Cases of the Afterlife. Much like those cases that Kardec published in the book Heaven and Hell, we have here the case of this spirit who discarnated. So let's see. He says, first of all, I want to say that we need to value time. Profoundly transformed after the great passage in which the tomb is the landmark of our return to reality. I am particularly addressing you, sailors of faith, in the ocean of life, to highlight the short days of our permanence in the body. We go back to the spiritual realm and we're back to reality. But you and I can live this life fully aware that the reality is of the spirit. The reality is not of what we're seeing here. The focus is on the eternal, immortal goals, not the passing ones. But Vanessa, can I have a house? Yes. Can I have a family? Yes. Can I have a car? Yes. Can I have a helicopter? Yes. Can I have a yacht? Yes. As long as everything we have is benefiting everyone. Not benefiting party-wise, but really bringing happiness to people. Not passing happiness like, let's drink and have fun, but everlasting happiness. Think about it. Right now, you and I are here. Somebody, somewhere, is turning older. It's their birthday, but they are in a shelter. At a shelter, people don't stop to celebrate people's birthday. Sometimes there is nothing to celebrate. But let's go to the shelter and make those people happy by celebrating their birthday. Why not? This is true happiness. When people recall of your existence, when we tell them that they are important. This spirit that was simply named Dr. G, they didn't disclose the name, he says to us the following lessons. The social experience on earth is still distracted by the game of masks. Yes, game of masks. Who are you, doctor? Who are you, famous? Who are you, rich? Who are you, beautiful? Who are you, influencer? Who are you, the matriarch of a family, the patriarch of a family? That's terrible. It's just a game of masks. Who are we? These are things we have. We are not what we have. We are who we are. Who are we then? Dr. G says that the visit of truth will still remain inconvenient, inopportune for a long time on earth. This conversation that you and I are having, people don't like it, right? Some people may tune into now and go away. They're like, I don't want to talk about it. But we need to talk about it. When the high spirits, they stopped all of Chico Xavier's work to allow Dr. G, the spirit who discarnated, to come and tell us his story. He was doing it to teach us how to succeed in a reincarnation, how to avoid mistakes. Let's see what else he says. How did Dr. G die? He tells us how he died. It wasn't fun. He thought as a politician, famous, influencer at his time, that he had everything controlled. Suddenly, chest pain, angina. heart attack. He fell. He describes that when he fell down, he was confused. He could still hear the voices of the people who were screaming out loud, trying to help him out, resuscitate him, till he realized throughout the course of the hours that his physical body died. And he says, I came to my viewing and I heard people coming to my family members and saying words like, my condolences, we lost a great friend, but deep inside, they would think, I have no regrets. This man should really die. Other people would come to his family and relatives and say, my condolences, Dr. G died young, very young. But deep inside, they felt otherwise. They actually thought he died late. I'm glad he died. Rogue. He left a considerable fortune. He must have stolen excessively. And other people said, oh, he was an honest man, a just man. But deep inside, he heard their thoughts and feelings saying, thief, speechless politician, may the earth be light on you and may hell protect you. And he said that those thoughts and feelings were like pricks in his heart. You can read more about this in the Spirit's book from questions 320 to 329. When Kardec discloses the ins and outs of, for example, memorials, funerals, burials, cemeteries, the Day of the Dead, Memorial Day, what should we do? How should we proceed? Have you thought about yours? Do you want people to celebrate your life? Be careful, because people will say they celebrate, but at the end of the day, they focus on the gossip. What do you want? Now we need to stop and ask. Joana de Angelis says we need to ask every day if we're ready for the departure back home. If I could choose, I would say, friends, when I discarnate, don't stop thinking about me. Do something good to other people. People deserve our attention more than ourselves. We don't need a memorial. We don't need people paying tribute to us. We need to pay tribute to God. When my father discarnated, Mentor Joseph said, I couldn't see him because it was COVID time. So whenever I was able to go back to Brazil to visit my family, he said, celebrate your father's life by reaching out to the poor. And that's what we did. It's going to be in his memory that we're going to help other people. That's the best way for us to pay tribute to somebody's life. Reaching out to people in need. So Dr. G says that as he heard and felt the vibrations of people's true thoughts and feelings about him, he saw himself pierced by endless projection of invisible thorns pricking his heart, tortured with shame. I did not know where to hide. Yet I wanted to protest the reproaches that seemed unreasonable to me. He was not able to fight back that, but there are spirits who discarnate. They hear us saying things about them and they come after us. They're upset. Their loved ones don't like it either. And if they are not very evolved, they will come after us to avenge. For a long time, the turmoil continued. That's how he felt. The turmoil. Imagine you discarnate and people think he died. No, he's right there at his viewing, at his funeral, at his burial, feeling everything, picking up on everything and feeling confused, turmoiled. He's feeling unsettled until he found some relief. How? Where did the relief come from? Many school children whom he would have loved to help or to have helped were then praying next to him. All the employees of companies where he worked, he didn't care much about those people, but those people were respectful to him. They had tears in their eyes. They prayed and had affection of sincere emotion. And former employees, tired and humble, whom he had appreciated from afar, offered thoughts of love. Few friends enveloped him in thoughts of peace. And that helps the discarnated one. Those people who are praying or sending good thoughts, good feelings, so friends. Somebody discarnates. Don't go there to talk about the person. There are 2 times in our lives in which we're so vulnerable: when we incarnate, when we're born, and when we discarnate. Because in Dr. G's case, his physical body is dead, but he's not discarnated yet. Those moments, birth and death, discarnation, we need quietude, peace, prayer. Some people are like this. Babies are born and then everybody wants to see the baby. Everybody wants to... No, 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 no. Let the parents stay with the baby for at least 3 weeks to allow them to acclimate. These spirits are adapting to the new life. They need peace and quiet. The same for when a loved one discarnates. We don't want to do a tribute. We don't want to do a party. We don't want many people. We say, thank you. Now it's time to stay with ourselves in prayers, in quietude. Don't make too much fuss. He says more. I calmed down, resigned. A sweet balm of recognition calmed my affliction, and I was able to cry at last, receiving all those good vibrations. The other day, I was at a restaurant, and next to us, there was a couple who, before eating, they held each other's hand, and the man said a very whispered prayer. We could feel the loving vibrations from where we were. When they finished, started eating, I turned to them and I said, I'm sorry, but I have to share that we felt moved just being next to you. Thank you for praying. We could feel it. And the woman said, you know, we've been married for 40 years. We have 6 children and 9 grandchildren, and that's what sustained us. And they are right. Prayer is so powerful. In all the messages, Kardec, in the book Heaven and Hell, discloses to us the power of prayer for people who are being born, for people who are discarnating. It brings this sweet balm, calming, bringing relief with tears. Dr. G was able to commend himself to the infinite goodness of God, breathing comfort and appeasement. Humiliated, he patiently awaited the surprises of the new situation. He was undeniably dead and alive. Now he's going to tell us something important. Physically, the body was dead. Spiritually, through his spiritual body, the perispirit was still connected to the physical body. So from funeral to burial, he says, I found myself free to think, but tied to the stiff remains by the strange cord that I couldn't understand. And as a result, I followed the procession sadly, cautiously, and relentlessly. He wanted to go elsewhere, but he couldn't. He was tied to the body. He felt that there's the cord. What is the cord? The silver cord. In the book Genesis, Kardec in chapter 13 talks about the perispirit and says that we spirits are enveloped by this spiritual body that we call perispirit. And this perispirit is molecule by molecule connected to the physical body. To discarnate means to detach, to release. How do we proceed with an easy discarnation? Death is of the body. Discarnation is about the spiritual body that detaches. How do we tear apart this molecule by molecule connection? By, says Kardec, in chapter 1, part 2 of the book Heaven and Hell. He says, the more attached we are to material things, the stronger is the glue, the bond between the spiritual body and the physical body. The harder it will be to discarnate. Attached to family? Attached to your profession? Attached to title? Attached to your physical beauty? Attached to sensations? Attached to material assets? To personality, ego? Those will lead us to difficult discarnation. But Dr. G is going to disclose at the very end the recipe for easy, smooth death / discarnation. He says, I tried to lean on old companions of ideal and struggles, but the environment full of empty words accentuated my distress and despair. You know those funerals where people don't care, they are more concerned about eating, or like movies, comedy movies that we see, where Will Ferrell's so funny, but funny in the movie, but real life, no. He's hitting on girls at funerals. Yes, those things, no. It's creepy. Yeah, we become vampirizers. We're being vampirized and saying words that we do not mean. I felt myself weaken, but he finally discarnates. We put the picture of a balloon here because Kardec says in the Spirit's book that when we are incarnated, it's as if we, the spirit, like the balloon, connected through the cord, the spiritual body, are tied and rooted on the soil. When we discarnate, we fly. He says, Dr. G, the conflict was over. Everything was now lethargy, dismay, exhaustion. People get tired when they discarnate, unless they are very superior spirits. For several days, I rested until in the light of the truth, I recognized that the tasks of the industrial and political man had come to an end. Are we ready for this? Every time I walk my dog or I leave my home, Mentor Joseph says when I close the door, what if you don't come back? Are you ready? He said, I'm not ready yet, but I'll be ready. He said, be ready because you don't know when the time comes. And he's not saying it's gonna come sooner or later. He says, everybody should think of this every time to make good choices every day. Because the illusion of an eternal life on earth produces bad choices. Dr. G says, however, despite this, the certainty of life that never dies gave me hope. So it was paradoxical. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm no longer a politician. I'm no longer an administrator, a businessman. But it's like bittersweet. At the same time, he's happy. Life didn't end. Yes, life goes on. There's even a book by Andrea Lewis. And life goes on. And at Kardec Radio, we have the first Spiritist novel released last year in 2023. It's a playlist named And Life Goes On. Professionally made, beautiful. Listen to it or read the book. All the factions emerged, assisting him in the new struggle. We always have loved ones, friends. I know not everybody loves us, but we have people who love us unconditionally. And they are around, even if we don't perceive them. They are always with us. If there is a group of doctors and family receiving the baby that is born when we discarnate, its birth on the other side, we have people receiving us as well. The men who perhaps undeservedly rose in the world to positions of power return to the condition of an anonymous servant. Who are you now? Oh, I'm no longer Dr. G. I am an immortal spirit. Are you ready for this? And he says, finalizing his thoughts, he says, that's why I come here to you, to say, I must encourage you to worship the clear and right values. To worship means to devote ourselves, to be diligent, be honest, be sincere, be kind, be compassionate. The golden rule, do to others what you would like to receive. The happiness we can build for others is the only way to find true happiness. The happiness we can build for others is the only way to find true happiness. So what is the recipe again? To have an easier death and discarnation. Transform our lives into a life that brings happiness to everybody. Today, I'm convinced that financial assets only aggravate the responsibilities of the incarnate soul. Why? Because we have talents and will be asked about it. Have we helped people? Have we given them? Have we kept them for ourselves without any good use for anybody? Have we promoted progress? Only the good remains. In this message today, Dr. G talks about his discarnation, from death to discarnation, and says, if you live a life to do the good is not only paying bills, taking care of family, it's about beyond it. If we're not doing this, our death and discarnation won't be easy. That's why we have our master. If we want to make it easier, we need to look at the coach, at the guide, at the model. Question 625 of the Spirit's Book by Kardec. What is the most perfect guide and model God has given us on earth? Jesus Christ. So I'm going to give you an exercise for us to meditate on this guided model that shall sustain us in good choices daily. It's like this, the exercise. You look at this picture, which was painted by Akiana when she was 8 years old. Now she's a beautiful woman that continues her missionary pathway. She painted this beautiful canvas, large, enormous. And this one she named it Prince of Peace. And she says, science says to us that this painting comes the closest from what the researchers came up with about Jesus. And when we look at our coach, we're allowing him to lead us into our daily choices. So meditating is so important. It takes only 3 minutes. I'm going to have a timer, okay? A timer, a 3-minute timer. And we are going to look at the picture. The challenge is this. Close your eyes. Look at the picture. Close your eyes. And for 3 minutes, the timer is going to ring. But before it rings, we only have the image in our minds. It's difficult. Maybe we need many years to practice to stay 3 minutes only focus on the picture, nothing else. But we're going to begin it today. Science says that when we do this practice of focusing our minds, we conquer our mind, conquering our life. We master our minds. Even neuroscience proves to us the amazing, extraordinary benefits of meditation for health, physical, mental, spiritual. Ready? Look at the picture. Close your eyes. one more minute, visualizing Jesus' image in our mental field. Let us focus, keep on going, we're almost there. See? Yes, that's my alarm. I want to dance with somebody. I want to dance with Jesus, don't you too? Yes, we want to dance with him every day. This practice was inspired by lots of studies in neuroscience and the neuroscience of meditation, but also inspired in a very interesting movie that you can watch on Netflix. It's called Henry Sugar. It got the 2024 Oscars for short film. It's very interesting. Watch it. We gave it a twist and we're meditating with the Christ. Let's keep Dr. G's recommendation to us. Bring happiness to others and thus we'll be happy. The good is the only thing that remains when we go back to the spiritual realm. Should you have any question, suggestion, please write to us either here or at cardiacradio@gmail.com. We look forward to seeing you in a week in another Voices of the Great Beyond. Thank you, friends.